Okay, boys and girls, we're going to start our typography practice today. You need 3 things. You need this worksheet here, you need a plastic sheet of paper, and you need a couple different sizes of Sharpies. I have a thick, a medium, and a skinny one here. So when you have your worksheet, you're going to take your plastic little transparency, and it actually flips open like this. There's a white piece of paper on the back. You're going to stick your worksheet all the way to the edge, the green edge, and then put the plastic down flat. You're going to be tracing each of these forms here and then adding a word that describes that form. So if you look at my cube up close here, my example, I'm using the word cube to describe the value of the cube. So the cube has a dark value, a medium value, and a light value. Each of these forms, you can see that dark, medium, and light, dark, medium, light, dark, medium, and light. So each of the dark areas of the form, you're going to use very thick letters very close together to make that area look like it is a dark value. When you get to the medium area, you're going to use thinner letters, maybe letters that are more spread apart to show the medium value. The lightest value you're going to leave blank. So for the cube, I'm using the word cube to describe the cube. So I'm going to use just my medium Sharpie first, and I'm just going to start by outlining the lines of the cube. So go slow because we cannot erase this Sharpie once we put it down. So I've outlined the cube first. Now I'm going to start with the darkest value area, and I think I'm going to switch to my really thick Sharpie so I can get some really bold letters. And I'm just going to start to write the words cube in this area. I can just write one word, cube, or I can write cube, cube, cube to describe this area. Now my goal is to make sure I fill this area pretty well so it looks like there's a shadow on this area. So your letters might not be perfect at first. This is why we're practicing before we start this on our portrait, so that we can get the feel of how the letters are going to be fit into a shape. Okay, so that looks pretty good. You can see the word cube. It looks pretty dark. Now maybe I'll switch to my medium Sharpie or my skinny Sharpie for the medium value area. And the same thing, I'm just going to write the word cube, but this time my letters are going to be a little bit thinner, not as bold, maybe a little bit more spread apart. And I put just a little bit of black down, so that will make this area look a little bit more grayish. And I'm going to leave that area blank. For the shadow here, I'm also going to try and fit the words cube into here and fill the space of the shadow. Notice how I'm touching the top and the bottom of the shadow each time. My letters at the bottom have to get really skinny here to fit in this little area. I might have to stretch the E out to fit that area. So my goal is to fill the shape and also use different letter sizes. So let's look at the cylinder now. Let's try the cylinder. Again, I'm going to start by outlining just the lines of the cylinder so I know where I'm going. Okay, now for the cylinder, we know it goes from dark to medium to light. So I'm going to go back to my thick Sharpie and I'm going to sketch cylinder in this area. I think this is where I see the most dark. Now I didn't quite fit the word all the way to the top, so I can start the word again. I might not fit the whole word in there, but if I don't fit the word, I can just keep going with the same word, cylinder, cylinder. Okay, now let's switch to my medium or my thin, and I'm going to do the same thing, but skinnier letters. Okay, and then leave the light area blank, and then I'll go back to the shadow and try and fit the word cylinder into the shadow. All right, pretty good. Now I'm going to go to the cone and the sphere and do the same thing. You can see I just repeated the same process. I'm using dark, thick, bold letters for the shadow area and the dark value, and then skinnier letters more spread out for the medium area. Okay, so once you finish your practice, you're going to take this worksheet out and you're going to keep the transparency. You're going to put your name on the top and you're going to turn your practice into the turn and bin. Come see me if you finish your practice and I'll tell you what to do next so that you can start your actual portrait project.